Okay, let's try that again. I have no idea what happened, but let's go back. Okay, so I'll just wait until a few of you guys come back into the actual piece. Apologize for that, because that was tough. I felt like I was on a roll. Share. Update this too. You guys, for those who were in the other one, I have no idea. The whole thing just shut down. Let me make sure this won't shut down either. Oh, we're good. Okay. I'm going to put the link back on my Instagram for those who were on it before. Um, and I shared this with the Facebook group too. Let me go to Facebook. The Facebook group that I'm speaking of, for those who hadn't heard it, is We Jump in Sand um, Facebook group that I have. Let me delete. So there was a question. Go ahead and ask that question again if you're in this group now. I already forgot what I was talking about. Something with high jump. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. I was trying to get as much information as I could out, but it's tough. So, all right. So let me put this back into the We Jump in Sand group. Your question. Okay. Jeez, that. Okay. Technology, man. I feel like I need to take a lesson again on it. I thought I knew what I was doing. So I believe the question was something along the lines of, oh yeah, so the guy's a high jumper and he's trying to um, jump. His coaches want him to lift weights because he's at 6'6", and the coaches say we want you to lift more weights to get stronger. So the focus of it is when you are lifting weights, the goal of it is to help you produce more force while you're actually jumping. So when you make contact on the ground, you want to create more force in the least amount of time in order to jump higher. What I would suggest is if you're going to do weights and you're going to be aggressive with the weights because that's your thing, I support that. Make sure you always pair it with a way to keep your level of explosiveness up. So if you do, let's say, a deadlift, then what I would say is do single leg skips, do 3 or 4 right after you finish your set. And what that'll do is it will remind you of what you should be doing. Plus, when you do a heavy squat and you jump right after, your body just feels like you are super strong. So keep that going. But but yeah, so that's what I would say if you are going to continue with the weights. I'm more of a fan of doing the weights to help build the actual movement and to tap into other types of muscles and also different types of systems within your body. But the main thing is you've got to get your body active functionally. You've got to increase your motor skills. You have to, work on single leg prep work, single leg jump work, things like that. So keep it simple. We're in this day and age where you can find hundreds of different ways to train, different equipment. There's literally pieces of equipment just for every movement you do. And the goal is you don't got to buy all that stuff. Now, is it good to have? Yeah, if you can afford it and you want it, get it. I'm not saying don't get it. However, what I am saying is keep your workout simple. You don't need to do 85 different exercises in one day. You don't have to do all those things. Pick 2 or 3 and do those until your body remembers the motion and you find the timing. Just like when you started high jump, for those who are high jumpers, you just don't do 8 different high jump drills when you're on your first day, or you shouldn't. You should just focus on your approach and keep your approach work working. Keep your approach work developing. Work on your strength. Come back to your approach work. You might do some core work that is inspired by high jump. Then go back to your approach work. Then another day. Then focus on maybe your penultimate step and getting higher off the ground, on blocking and all these pieces. Work on that. Then when you have it, don't just advance to the next thing. It's not a checklist of, if I do this, then do that, do that, do that. No, it's if I do this, great. How can I make this better? How can I get more aggressive within this? How can I create more power within this? How can I decrease my time and foot contact within it? And then everything you do is focused back on that one piece, and then keep developing that. I'm super just keep it simple, and your body will respond so much faster when it comes to doing things correctly. And you got to think about it this way. If you don't skip over certain elements of your game and you keep that base building, when you add in a new piece, your base already kind of knows what that new movement's going to be and is already accepting to it because you've been doing it for so long. So appreciate that. Anthony, you're welcome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. My mission has been to inspire. And when I looked at videos on how to get better as an athlete, it's always the elite level athlete that they're showing. And they're showing like athletes that are doing things that I couldn't do. I didn't know how to do it. It's literally like Olympians doing drills. I'm like, I'm not an Olympian. I'm literally 12 or 13 years old. Like, how do I don't get it. So when I noticed that, I just said, you know what? We all have those elite athletes, that 1%, and we all have the 99%, everyone else. And our teams are filled up with a 99% athlete. It's everyone else. How do you train them? So when Instagram decided to put up, videos for 15 seconds, I was like, I'm going to do this thing once a week where I just talk about the drills that I do. And so many coaches were like, Coach, why are you giving away your secrets? It's like, it's not a secret. I don't want to help 50 kids that I work with. I want to help thousands, millions. Why would I keep a secret, only work with the kids that are in my area, or the coaches that are in my area? Here's the information. If your team beats my team, good job. Guess what? All the kids that did really well are going to go to college. So if you are in a place, not you specifically, but you're in a place where you're looking for knowledge and the coaches around you aren't giving you that knowledge, then once you end up finding that knowledge, just give it away. I'm not saying work for free, but I am saying just help others because, that's kind of your legacy. Right now at this point, I have athletes that went to college, graduated, and came back to my program to either help as a coach or just be a part of the environment. And that's a huge thing. So I appreciate the compliment, and I'm going to continue doing more. What I said in the previous live before it blew up was I'm going to start interacting with you guys more. I was trying to interact more with the Instagram people, the Facebook people, but you guys are the ones that actually are doing so much more. The fact that I'm still averaging 70,000 views on my videos right now is crazy. So my thing is, the audience is here. I'm going to keep talking to you guys. I think last month I put together a 21-day series where I interviewed people. I just talked about everything. I have coaches, I have athletes, athletes as pros, athletes as college, and high school. So what I'm going to do is release one of those videos. If you haven't already been a part of it, good, because I'm going to release the videos now on YouTube, and that's going to be one video per week. And I'm also going to just answer questions. I've been answering questions so far, but the questions I get, I try to put together this nice video with edits and music and all that stuff. I'm going to keep it real simple and just probably do the same type of edit stuff, but keep it simple in the sense of put one question and answer that one question. A lot of it too is once the information is out there, it's out there. You don't have to really repeat yourself. It's only about updating stuff. So what I've noticed now, and I'm enjoying more now, is yes, I'm helping with the technical piece. I'm helping with the athletes getting stronger and faster. But it's all about the mental side of it. You know, so many athletes are physically a D1 athlete, but mentally they're not. And so it's how do you prepare an athlete for Division One or Division Two or NAIA Division Three? How do you prepare them for college? And I put together a course. I'm going to be announcing that later on, but I'll do like a little teaser now. It's a 6-week course called Universal Athlete where you go through a virtual course twice a week, and it talks about 6 different topics from mental stability, food awareness, institutional awareness, perspective, and identity. You know, identifying who you are parallel to being an athlete. So I think that's going to be pretty fun to be part of. And yeah, basically I did that, and I already went through a 6-week cycle. The next cycle is going to start sometime in August, so I'll make an official announcement later on. Okay, so as you guys are asking questions, I'm probably going to be on here just for another maybe 30 minutes. Just kind of hang out. If you guys have questions, great. If you don't, I'm going to just sit here and maybe go on Instagram and just hang out on there too. But I'm really excited for this year. Obviously, the year is going to be a little bit different. But I'm excited because our sport, track and field, is a low-risk sport. The fact that football is going to happen, they're going to play football regardless, just means that track and field can. If football being a high-risk sport is planned, track and field will be. Now, of course, there are other sports that we should be caring about, but this is the track and field shirt, so track and field is what I'm talking about. What else? Let's see what I got on. Shout out to Rise and Fly Track Club. Rise and Fly Track Club, I believe, is all over. They have Orange, Riverside County, and they work on sprints, jumps, pretty much everything. They're a great team, so check them out. Rise and Fly, RISE, the letter N, Fly Track Club. I believe it's .com. So I'm just rambling now, waiting for questions, but perfect. All right, here we go. How has the college recruiting process changed? They say it. Okay, so how has the college recruiting process changed? They say it hasn't during this process, during this time, because coaches are still recruiting. So that's where it hasn't changed. But where it has changed is I have an athlete, Noah, who's going to Whittier College. He goes to Brea Olinda High School, just graduated. And the coaches recruited him on his marks from his junior year. Now, I believe he went 21 mid. And when I was working with him in the winter, that boy is going to jump 23 feet this year. Like right now, he would be at 23 feet. He just needed the fine tuning. And the coaches recruited him at the number on paper versus the number that he was projected to jump. So just the fact that the process of recruiting, you're going to be recruited off of the numbers you had, kind of sucks. Also, coaches can't come see you and see how you are in competition. They also are going to have a hard time just justifying the amount of money they give you if you're going to get money. So then now it's your job as an athlete to be able to articulate what you're doing, what you've seen, your improvements improve per year, and et cetera. So the part that needs to change as an athlete is you need to know what you want out of the school, what you need out of the school, and stand on your value. If you know, okay, I'm only jumping, let's say 22 feet right now, and I was supposed to go 23 this year, but it is what it is. Stand on the value of how many jumpers do they have on their team, how far are they jumping, and if you come in as the second best jumper or the best jumper on the program, that's your leverage. Like, coach, I'm being recruited by you. I am going to be your best jumper. And I'm also experienced in the hurdles or the relay, whatever it may be. So just kind of build your value when it comes to the program in that aspect. And that's going to really be a huge part. Don't be discouraged because coaches are still recruiting. What I will say that is part that is tough is some schools are honoring their scholarships for the class of 2020. Example, a school has 7 seniors, and they're going to honor the seniors who didn't have a year this year to come back on the scholarship they have. Well, that means that money's locked up. On top of that, they have to get rid of some athletes. So it's harder to get in for this class and this group. And that's kind of a reality when it comes to it. But what I will say is continue to training, continue developing. Because at the end of the day, if you spend the year not training and developing and being in this mental space of, I'm having a hard time, I didn't make it, or this year was taken away from me, then the reality is you're going to get more out of shape. So everyone right now is dealing with different levels of training. Your job is to continue training the way that that you have been and finding space. So just kind of keep that going. All right, so Jalen saying if an athlete plays football and runs track, their main event is long jump. What could the athlete do during football season? Nothing. If you're a long jumper during football season, keep yourself healthy. So not nothing, but don't do anything extra. Don't go out and try to long jump during season. Don't go try to do some, sprints during the week. Don't do any of that. Football is enough wear and tear on the body. What I will say is spend more time prehabbing your body. What I mean by that is, so many times I see football players go out to warm up, coach says warm up, and they don't. And then they go through and play tag, they play catch. They do all these things that are fun, and then they go through warm-ups, and the warm-up is a calisthenic warm-up, and it takes 10, 15 minutes, and you're done, you're ready to go. But there's no actual stretching to get you guys warm and etc. Do all of that before. So instead of gathering with your friends and talking and all those things, which is fun, warm up correctly. If you have a massage gun, use the massage gun. Have one of your teammates roll you out. Once you finish practice, don't just grab your stuff and leave and go home. Sit down and stretch. Take your time. Cool your body down. Take off your cleats and run around the football field a couple times. Just jog and cool your body down. Let your body recover. What I will say is the days you have short practice, do hip mobility. Get your hips opened. Stretch out. That's honestly the main thing is take your time to stretch pre-practice, post-practice. Be the last one to leave when it comes to that. Honestly, if you're in football, just be in football and have fun. Don't worry about track when you're in football. Just have fun. And also on the flip side is when you're in track, don't worry about football. Just be in track. The 7-on-7s, all that stuff, it can wait. You might be a person you got hands and you can move. That's great. But coaches are looking at this. I saw your huddle highlight tape. I saw it on YouTube. You can jump. and then I'll watch you long jump and you jump 23 feet. It makes sense. I don't need to watch you play a 7-on-7 and show me again how fast you are. I watched you during season. I watched you in a game. I watched you there. I want to see you on the track. If you say you're football fast, great. Let me see how fast your 100-meter dash is. If you say you can jump and you're great off the line, let me see that on a pop off the board and jump a 23-foot jump. Adoree Jackson, football player, long jumper, he said, when I'm in track, I'm in track. When I'm in football, I'm in football. I don't mix the two. All right. So that's a huge part. And to be honest, if you talk to him, he brings all the track mentality when it comes to recovery, when it comes to just the way he takes care of his body. It's 100% track minded. So I did football and track and basketball. I did all three sports. Just keep your focus on one sport at a time. And, if you lose 5 pounds because you're on the track, it's fine. You'll get it back when season comes. But you're 5 pounds less, but you're more explosive because you've been training 5 pounds heavier during football season. So keep it simple when it comes to that. And whatever ability you have on the football field, show that also on the track and let your athleticism kind of speak for itself. What I will say, though, is during the winter between track and football, let your body recover. Let it shut down. If you're going deep into playoffs, let your body kind of like deload from all the trauma and stress you've been going through, so that'll kind of help. All right. Yep. So your coach is telling you the right thing. I specifically don't have as many, but a lot of coaches that I speak with have those players that do multiple sports, or they're in club, and it's just like club gets in the way. Club gets in the way, and so that's where it comes down to, what is your actual mission? What are you doing with your life? And everything that you do needs to be a reflection of your mission. So if it's, I want to play Division I football, perfect. What do you need to play Division I football? You probably need to start. You probably need to be good. You probably need to have over 1,000 yards receiving. You probably need to have over so many touchdowns. That's just kind of what it is. I'm not sure what state you're in, but in California, there are 71 schools, and there are 595 scholarship opportunities for Division I. If you're not the top 500 in California, you're not getting a D1 scholarship. Like, it's the business. Sorry, you're not good enough. So that's important. And then of those 595 kids, how many of them also do track? If it's more than half, you need to do track, right? You need to make sure you're balancing both of those out. But don't overload it by doing track and football and spring training. It's a lot. You're doing football spring training, you're doing 7-on-7, and you're also doing track. You're not going to be recovered. It's going to be tough for you. I had a freshman last year, Quincy Craig, freshman, he jumped 21-11, and his dad said, I'm not going to have him do football during track season. When he's in football, you got him 100%. We're not going anywhere. When you're in track, you got him. We're not doing football. He's not going anywhere. And as a coach, me knowing that, it lets me relax a little bit, because I know that I can run him into the ground for specific workouts and know that he's going to be fine recovering the next day, because he's not going to be out going from a hard track and field practice to a 7-on-7. So I'm not sure if you're doing 7-on-7 or not. Just pick and choose what you're doing. And if you do say, I am going to do 7-on-7, or I am going to do this combine training, then perfect. Let your coach know what days those are so he can modify your training. But my suggestion is, let your numbers speak for yourself on the track. That was a long answer, but that's what I got for you. I say that because I'm pretty passionate about it, and I got so many athletes, whether it's football, volleyball, soccer, that they could have earned a scholarship for track and walked on to the soccer or football or whatever, and they messed that all up because they were so busy doing other things. So that's my suggestion for you. Hopefully that helped. Let's see what other. I had some other questions pop up, um, but let me see what we got. Nothing yet. It's already 7 o'clock. I will stay live with questions or not questions for another, we'll say 20 minutes. And then if not, we'll go from there. But again, you guys, if you haven't, visit my website, KeinanBriggs.com. I've really updated it. I tried to make it as easy to use as possible. I have services such as 20-minute phone calls where we can just talk about what you may have going on, questions like this, but more specific. I have DVAs, which I lowered the price for just to kind of get more people to be able to utilize that service. A DVA is a digital video analysis, and basically you send me a video of you jumping. What I do is I watch your video, I tell you what you're doing wrong, and give you ways to fix it. That's that. I also have a live DVA where you do the DVA alongside with me. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm showing you what you're doing wrong and how to fix it, but you're on it with me because so many times I have athletes that send me a DVA, I give them the answers, and they train with what I've given them, and then they have questions on how to develop. Like, okay, I did this, what else do I do? And that what else do I do question, I can't just give that to you because there's context behind it. So those answers can be given to you during the live DVA, and that's been pretty beneficial. I also said before about the extreme. Oh, you're going to Sarah, okay. Football practices started yesterday. Beach workouts on Saturday. Okay, so what you're saying is I go to Sarah. Football practice started yesterday, as in Monday. But I have beach workouts on Saturday, which is just plyos and hill runs. There's not a date set for football to start, but I do know it may. And then start in January. Okay, so here's the thing. Because I had an athlete, so you're at Sarah, so that means you're in California. I'm assuming Sarah Gardena. So you guys are going to go deep into the playoffs. If that's the case, starting up with track in January might not be the best. So for those who are listening that are not in California, CIF, we have our normal 10 games, and then we have the playoffs. If you win so many games in the playoffs, you automatically get into the state tournament. But the playoffs is about 4 weeks. So you're looking at a 14 to 15, maybe 16-week season, which is a very long time. If you're starting in August, that's going to take you through late October, like October or so. It actually into early November. So what I would say, depending on how your body feels, is you're fresh right now, right? You just had your break. You're at home for the most part. It's not smart while you're fresh to start burning your hours of training down. What I mean by that is you're fresh, you're doing football, and you have hill workouts, but you're saying, well, we don't know if we're going to really be competing for football yet, but we're just training for it. I get it, but what if you're training for it and you're doing Saturday hill workouts? So you're doing 5 days a week football plus Saturday hill workouts and plyos. Now you're doing 6 days a week training. And then football does happen and you go through this whole cycle. It's a lot. Your body can handle it, yes. But when you get done with season, then you go into track in January. If you're starting running and jumping in January, your body needs a little bit more time to transition from football to that. So what I would say is just play it by ear. I would pause the Saturday training and just go hard with the football training right now. And then you're supposed to know by the end of the month. I believe it's January. Yeah, like in the next week or two, whether football is going to continue. I think it is. So assuming that it is, you're going to get rid of the Saturday workouts anyway. So be smart with your body. You can handle it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be great for you for development. However, you don't want to overdo it because remember, you're doing football and you're doing track, which means you're going to be literally in season, so to speak, the whole year. Because if you have winter track club, football, winter club, and spring track, that's a long year. So just be smart about how many hours you put onto your body of training. And whatever training you are going to do, I'd rather you just go all in for that training and then give yourself all in rest and recovery. So, but good luck to you guys. What else? Time is just flying by. So yeah, I'll stay on to 7:30 with the questions. Let me see if any questions popped up on the Facebook group. Let's see. Good questions, you guys. Nothing yet. So I think you guys can see that. We jump in sand. So I'm not sure what country they're in, but they're 13 weeks out of training, and now they're back on the track. So I'm excited that people are back training. My club team, we have been back. The second the parks opened for recreational use, we were able to get out and do some training. And it's pretty simple, keeping the space, the social distancing, because it's track and field. I mean, you think about long jump, you're literally the only person on the track at that time. So I'm hoping that we can get some things done. Jalen, when in season, do you have any videos or advice for stretching? Yeah. Okay, so do I have any tips for shin splints in videos? Yes, I do. Springback.net. Can I type in here? Here, I'll just type in here, but springback.net. It is an insole that fits into your spikes and it fits into your cleats. It's a really thin insole. It's made out of like some super high tech stuff. Long story short, it doesn't allow your foot to bottom out in the insole. So for example, when you have on your cleats or when you have on your track spikes or your tennis shoes and you wear them for a while, you can feel your foot indentation in the actual shoe. That means that your heaviest points of your foot have made an indentation into the actual insole that's already in the shoe. So with that being said, it bottomed out and it's flat. When you have the springback.net insole, let me turn this down, it never bottoms out, so it keeps that spring the whole time. They're made out of butadiene rubber, the same type of surface the track is made out of. And I would say start with that, put that into your cleats and wear those often. It'll just help with the overall impact. And put them in your spikes, put them in your cleats whenever you're training, competing, put them in your shoes, things like that. So that'll be the first part. I do have a video with that. Then when it comes to just the overall training of it, is depending on where your shins are hurting. If they're in the front, you need to make sure that you continuously ice, heat, do more heating than icing to keep the blood flow moving. And stretching it out. That one's kind of harder to kind of get rid of. The other one is going to be the soleus, the shin that's behind your leg, or the pain that's behind your leg. That one is basically the same concept, but you're going to have to start training that now, getting that to bring down inflammation by icing, but also keeping high heat on there and stretching it, massaging, things like that. But don't wait until the pain starts to come in. Start taking care of that now before anything comes in. So if I can add into this group. I'm not sure how to add in. Yeah. Let me see if I can put it on here. What I'll do is I will, let me see. I'm not in the chat, so I'm trying to figure out where I can add that in. But it's springbak.net. There's no C in there. Thank you from India. You know, India, you guys are the number 2 country viewers outside of U.S. So right outside of U.S., you guys are number 2. So I do support. I actually talked to a few guys that are out in India, and they said that I guess the country uplifted the boundaries or the amount of time or something with the internet. So basically, India said, you guys can only use the internet for a certain amount of time or only search these websites. And they extended how far they can reach with the internet. And with that being said, my videos became pretty popular. So I do appreciate the support. You guys really do. Let me try going on to YouTube on my other. Okay, so there we go. Here's the for your athletes. Do you like teaching them the hitch kick or the hang? Okay, I can ask that question for you. Let me put this website in here for you guys. www.springback. Okay, so there is right there somewhere the link. I believe that's the correct one. Okay, so the question was, do I teach the hitch kick or the hang? The answer is, I teach the hitch kick for starters. When athletes do the hang, some reason they run and they just jump and they just do whatever they do in the air. Great. However, I look at when you have a solid object, right? And you push this solid object to move, it being solid, it means that it can travel and go. When that object breaks and it pushes and it gives, when it breaks, it's losing momentum, it's losing the ability, it's losing energy. So when athletes go into the hang and they lose their profile, their stability, I just see lost motion. So what I do for the athletes is I tell them, just do the hitch kick. Run, jump off the board, and continue running, lands in the sand. And I kind of force the athletes to understand the hitch kick because I want them to keep their speed through the boards. So them continuing to run is virtually the same to me as keeping their speed is running through the board. Now, once they understand it, I then allow them to change however they want to change to. I had like Titan Rutolo, who ended up jumping 22 feet. He wanted to do the hang so bad. And I said, well, once you run off in position and keep your integrity of your posture, then you can do whatever you want after that because you're not going to jump further with the hitch or the hang. There's no like further thing. It's just being prepared to land position wise. Some of you guys are not flexible. So if you're not able to extend all the way, you don't want to be in a position that makes it harder for you to get to an extension. So my brother Kimani, he's not flexible at all. So he does his runoff. He's not flexible enough to do the hang clean because he can't kick or the hitch kick. He can't move his legs enough because he's not flexible enough. Well, he doesn't hang. He doesn't hang to a glide. So basically, he does a combination of a couple different flight patterns. But what I would say is start with the hitch kick if you're not already. If you are doing the hang, search, how to enter into a jump, as in the glide with the hitch, and then stop it and then go to the hang. I think that's probably the best technique for guys because they have so much more power off the takeoff when it comes to pound and force. I think that would probably be the best option but the glide isn't easy to learn. It takes a little bit of time. So understand the hitch kick takeoff, then combine that to the hang, and then that's going to be your actual glide technique. There's a handful of athletes that do the glide at the world level, and they're really good at it. But once you get flexible and you have the strength to move around, you're going to see that more athletes eventually moving back into the actual the hitch kick. So don't stick with it, but try a few things. And whatever one you do end up trying, stay with that for the season. So if you're going to change and try a hitch kick, let's say or the glide for the winter season, stay with it for the whole winter season. Don't go back and forth because you had a good day today and a bad day tomorrow. Stick with that. And whatever you're changing, only change that with your coach. Don't just see a video and say, I'm going to do that. Stick with the coach because your coach may be having you do a specific type of jump because of your frame, because of your size, because of your weight, because of your speed, whatever it may be. They're doing it in the best interest for you. Good questions. Hey, so Jalen right now is the one that's asking all the questions. He's still on the show. Okay, so Fish, do you like Adidas long jump spikes over the Nike long jump spikes? I know you prefer the Adidas triple jump spikes, but the long jump spikes look kind of heavy. I am team Adidas all the way. The long jump spike for Nike, I'm aware of them because our school is sponsored by Nike, so we have to stay with them. But the long jump spike for Nike is lighter. It is lighter. But when people talk about it's lighter, I'd rather go with lighter shoe. We're talking about ounces, like 2 ounces, 3 ounces. An ounce is like your shoelaces. So if you're saying, I can't jump far enough because my shoelaces are too heavy, it's like that. Stop it. Just stop. But I will say, though, is the mold of the actual long jump Nike spike, it's too round. When you make contact with the heel, the 3/4 foot, which is what you should be doing in long jump, 3/4 foot, make contact and roll through. Because the forefoot is so round, do I have them? I think I gave them away. I almost had a pair just to compare. But it's so round at the forefoot that the actual back part is separate. So when it rolls, it actually hits and stops and then rolls through. So if you're on the balls of your feet, it rolls through easier, but you don't create the amount of force from the balls of your feet when you long jump. So you need to be flat-footed, or 3/4 foot is what I say for the advanced athletes. But the Adidas, it allows for that roll through. It's actually molded flatter so you can roll through easier and get more of your complete foot. Also, the Adidas has the plastic like knurling at the end of the foot. So the whole, from midfoot all the way back, it has this plastic knurling, a grip that grips the ground. I love that because you're not going to slip as much. The Nikes have a rubber bottom. So the heel is rubber, and I don't like it because it's just not as supportive or reactive as the Adidas are. So when it comes to comfort, it's snug. Like the Nikes, literally, it hugs your foot. It has that Velcro strap. It just feels so good on your foot. But my thing is, I want to jump far. If the foot is flatter, they're 3 ounces heavier, but I'm able to get a full foot on the ground, which increases my percent of force created for me to jump further. I'm wearing those all day. So, yes, the Nikes look better. I'm not gonna lie, the Nikes look good. You know, especially now they have that white with like the granite type of like black sparkles or whatever in it. That's cool, you know. But what's also cool is getting on a college roster. So, I'd rather jump in some ugly Adidas and be on a college roster than jump in some nice looking Nikes that are green and orange and pink, and get third place. I'm not saying that's what happens, but you know what I'm trying to say. All right. Sorry, Nike, if you're watching this. I'm not trying to bash you guys, but do better. You got all this money in shoes, put the money into it. So fish, 100% Adidas, both sides. Even the Adidas high jump spike. If I did javelin, I'd probably throw in Adidas too. Fish said, I guess I was thinking the Adidas spikes look bulky. They do. The Adidas spikes don't look as appealing, but the Adidas spike is a world spike. It's a world spike, meaning they just understand what the foot needs. The reason why it's bulky is because when you land on one foot to jump, your foot expands. Your foot needs room to move versus the Nikes they hug your feet. So when you make contact, your foot actually fills up the shoe and spills out. Look at it in detail. Look at some slow motion jumps and you're going to see what the foot does in the shoe itself. Your foot needs room, Let your foot breathe. Let your foot have support. And you don't want any type of nerve or foot injuries because that really sucks. I've had a foot injury and it's not good. So, okay, another topic from Isaac. Sorry, this is off topic, but I'm just curious. How long do you usually taper an athlete towards the end of the season? Typically, so for us, my high school group, we start training in July, which is a very, very, very long time. But we only train twice a week through, late July, August, all the way up until season, up until January. So twice a week just simply means that we're actively training to maintain throughout the whole season. So you're not doing too much. But with that being said, since we train for that long, our actual peak can last up to 2 weeks. And we train through it. So I typically peak them at the meet I think they're going to have to do the best at. Meaning if I have some athletes who I don't foresee that they're good enough to make it into CIF or to the playoffs, then I'll program their training in order to peak at that meet so they can make it to the playoffs and then we'll hang on to whatever we got. Or if it's an athlete that I know can go to state, I don't peak them, for state, for anything but state. They peak at state. So typically, I just give them about a week or so, or 2 weeks of lighter work, and then we peak. For most athletes, it's 1 week. So we'll have the peak week, and then we go into season, then that will go from there. So let me see if I answered your question correctly, but yeah, basically 1 week. The week that I want them to peak, I'll peak them that week. And I'll let them know that the week before. So, okay, I see your question, you guys. So basically, if I know that next week is our league finals and the athlete is in a place where they have to do well at league finals, I will tell them a month ahead of time, this is the plan for you. And so they understand it. That means sit down, don't do extra workouts. And then I'll have them next week. I'll probably do a lighter or a heavy load workout that Monday. And then the meets on Friday. So a heavier load workout that Monday. And then keep their workouts pretty simple, very specific, short to the point, and then we'll go from there. So if that answers your questions, great. If not, message me something else and I'll go from there. So FISH, our season doesn't start in January. January is when track and field for high school starts its normal training. So it's spring season. So basically, it's late January. We can practice up to 5 days a week. So that's what I mean by January. However, my club team starts their actual season in January. So yes, high school starts full-time training in January. My club team does 4 to 5 meets from January to March. We typically do 2 track meets per month. We'll do, one late January, 2 February, and then actually 2 in January and 2 in February, and then typically there's 1 in March for like a championships or whatever. And then Jalen, more questions. This is good. Good questions here. What are the differences in those workouts when I'm peaking? I'm assuming. Not much. So for example, when you're in championship season, you're not trying to teach anything new. Whatever they know, that's what they're going to do. So what I would suggest to them is we're in peak week. We're going to do typically high intervals or high velocity training. So if they're running and doing a running workout, I'm not trying to condition them to, let's say our workout typically would be 4 to 6 80s at that time, probably be 80s to 60s. Peak season, 60s. If it's 4 to 6 60s, I'll probably bump it down and do 4 60s because you have 4 jumps at league, sometimes 6 depending on your league. But I'll say 4 60s, and you're going to have 10 minutes rest in between each 60 because they're going to be at full 100% speed versus, 8 60s or 8 150s, things like that. When it comes to technical work on the runway during peak season, they might only get 2 jumps. I'll say, all right, it's Monday, you get 2 jumps, that's it. First jump, you better be on the board. If not, the last jump is all you get, and that'll be that. Or maybe I'll give him 3 jumps and that'll be that. So it really just, you do a full warm up, you do those runs, and then you're done. You cool down, you go home, you ice. The next day, maybe you do some speed work, things like that. But typically will jump them earlier in the week. Monday, we'll do a speed work on Tuesday. Wednesday, hit mobility. Thursday, pre-meet. Friday, league finals. And show out and make CIF and win some championships. Okay. And then FISH followed up with, my training doesn't start until March. Well, if you're not doing anything between now and March, I would suggest you get up and do some stuff. The Stasi workout, I'll put Stasi on here. Explosive. Okay, so search, I'm writing this right now onto the comments, but all right, so you want to search the Stasi or explosive hip training. Do that during the off season while you're preparing for a season versus just show up the first day of March. So keep yourself kind of active and moving forward, okay? So FISH followed up with, you're in a track club and have hockey during the winter. I would say choose one. Choose one. Which one do you enjoy? So if it's hockey, just do hockey. And then once track and field comes around, then do that. Um, you're you're not going to find yourself at 100% club track or club soccer during the summer. So like this is what happens to most athletes is they expect to have 100% results in track and field, but they're only giving track and field 50% of their time. It doesn't work that way. You can't expect to run a full speed 100-meter dash after doing 2 hockey games or hockey practice or whatever. It just doesn't work. You know, okay, so if clubs in the winter, perfect, do winter club, and then do track for your high school or whatever it is in the spring, and then in the summer, focus your summer training to be a championship. So then use the spring season as your transition build up preseason for the summer. If your summer has nationals and the bigger meets, then use that season to prepare you for the summer to where you can show out at the national level. And then Franklin, for your athletes who run both relays and jump, how does training differ from those that aren't on the relay? Well, for example, Sophia Sharamonte, she was a part of the CIF winning championship team 2017, the relay team, and she was a long jumper. So kind of like in your situation. The difference is for most schools, you'll have the sprint coach who wants to take all the sprinters on Monday and run them. Then your jump coach will have you jump on Tuesday. The problem with that is you're tired from a heavy sprints day. Then you show up to long jump, which is a sprint-based exercise or workout, and then you don't have the speed behind you or the power behind you. I say flip it. Jump and then run. Even if your coach says, I'm not switching the Monday, that's fine. Then jump on Monday and then do the speed workout, all that workout you should be doing after your jump day. Or try to figure out and coordinate that with your coach. That'll be the best for your body, for your benefit, because the long jump is a sprint to a explosive jump. Well, if you don't have the explosive fibers ready because they're tired from sprinting, 200 yesterday, there's no benefit there. So I would suggest that or pushing your jump day later in the week and switching out that. But that'll be the main thing. So for Sophia, she trained with me for her sprints, even though she was also on the relay. So she was a primary jumper. She jumped, and then she was able to go do the speed workout, whatever it was, after. So she would run that pretty much by herself. And then whenever she needed to do handoffs, I had her go do handoffs, and then we continued back jumping. So she stayed with me the whole time. And that really helped out because I was able to keep her schedule balanced within her training. So, and then also, do you think it's important for a jumper to stay focused on their open events in some meets? Let me read that again. Also, do you think it's important for a jumper to just focus on their open events, some meets? I'm assuming their primary events. Say a long jump and 100 instead of running. Okay, got it. Yes. Okay. There is using an athlete, then there's letting an athlete develop and get better. During league, as an athlete, your job is to do everything for your team. You show up. If your coach says you're doing 4 events, do 4 events. Do the best you can. Score all the points you can score. Okay? They're using the athlete mentality somehow gets pushed over to invitationals. So if you have invitational, what do you get if you win first place in all of them? You get an award. Great. But you're tired. You just did 4 events on the Thursday. Then you show up Saturday and do 4 more events. You don't need to do all those events. So my suggestion from the athlete perspective is tell your coach, Coach, I'll do any event you want me to do, when it comes to the invitational, I want to do one event or two. I want to do the one or two events that can showcase and highlight my talent to expose me to colleges. If you are a 22, 23, 24-foot jumper, it's going to be hard for you to do 4 events and then 4 more events within 2-day or 3-day period. It's just hard, right? So if your coach says no to that, then you might want to have a meeting just with the coach about what your overall mission is. If you're part of a relay, you're going to have to kind of maybe do 2 or 3 events because the relay needs you. You're part of the relay. That was your choice. But that's where you might do the relay and not do the 100. You just do the relay and your long jump, and there's your 2 events. But as an athlete, stick with doing the 3 to 4 events during league. When it comes to your invitationals, do as few events as possible. Because if you think about it, if you have a meet on Thursday, 4 events, meet on Saturday, 4 events, meet on the next Thursday, 4 events, in that week you just had 3 track meets. That's tough, really tough. And it's going to be hard for you to get some really good improvements if you're doing that many events. Then to follow that up with 3 track meets in a week, in 9 days, you're ending up doing another 4 events. So not good. Take your time. Again, keep it simple. Okay, so that's an hour on this live and actually 20 minutes before that. So I'm going to log off. If you weren't able to answer any questions, here's my email, info@KeinanBriggs.com. Okay. There's my email. Shoot your questions over to me, and what I will do is the next time I go live, I will answer those questions that were there, and or I will just create videos. So for those who have technical videos, I have so many video archives. I'll either answer that question specifically or break down a video showing you how it should look and things like that. So you guys, thank you for being part of this live. I'm going to start putting out a video or more per week for you guys because I've been kind of silent just doing other things on here. But let's keep moving forward. Let's keep learning. And as I find more information for you guys, I'm going to post it here. Yes, Instagram will still be going on. Facebook's still going on. But for you guys here, it's going to be, for you guys. So, Fish, great questions. And let's continue getting better. Coaches that are in this watching, let's continue getting better. Anything you see I can improve on, let me know, and or suggest for you guys, let me know, and let's continue growing, developing, and getting these college scholarships, man. Okay, all right, I will see you guys next time.